Hello, nice to have you join us on Newsroom series, reaching you from Channels Television's global headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Dominic Iwiwa, and today our focus will be on the northwestern region. But before we get into that, let's have a look at our top stories making rounds at the moment. Justice Emmanuel Subilim of the National Industrial Court has ordered workers of the Federal Capital Territory to suspend the ongoing industrial action pending the hearing and determination of the originating summons. Justice Subilim made the order while ruling on an application filed by the Minister of the FCT. Yeson Wike seeking an order compelling striking FCTA workers to return to work. The FCT minister sued the President and the Secretary of the Joint Union Action Congress over the strike. In the ruling, the court held that industrial action, even a strike, must be suspended when the dispute has been referred to the National Industrial Court. Section 18, subsection 1E of the Trade Disputes Act notes that the suspension is such that the dispute is resolved. The judge held that once a strike is ongoing before the referral, such a strike must be suspended. The judge added that the commencement of the suit by originating summons constitutes a referral. The judge further held that the Trade Disputes Act says failure to comply with Section 18 can impose sanctions. The court further held that the public interest in creating industrial peace supersedes inconveniences in suspending the strike. The court subsequently adjourned the case to March 25th for hearing. Now, in its bid to enhance accessibility, support commercial activities, and stimulate socio-economic development, the federal government has embarked on 260 special intervention road projects nationwide, with the Northwest Geopolitical Zone receiving 48 projects. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Community Engagement Northwest, Mr. Abdullahi Tanko Yakasai, gave the information when he led a delegation from the Federal Ministry of Works to inspect some projects in Kano. Our correspondent, Abubakar Salihu, reports.
Standing here for the commissioning of the phase 1 and 2 of the economic city, Bichi Road in Kano State, are officials of the Federal Ministry of Works, representatives of professional bodies, labor unions and community leaders.
In the name of Allah, Bismillah.
While commissioning the project in Bichi Town on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Works, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Community Engagement, Northwest, Mr. Abdullahi Tanko Yakasai, describes it as a strategic intervention. He also spoke on the impact of the other infrastructure interventions of the government across the country.
This road is very significant because we all know the importance of an economic city. So the federal government has come in to intervene, because this is part of the special intervention project. We can't thank His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu enough, because federal government has embarked on 260 special intervention projects. And I'll gladly tell you that the Northwest region, comprising Katsina, Kano, Jigawa, Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, and Kaduna State, we have gotten 48 federal intervention projects. This zone has the highest number of intervention projects across the 6 geopolitical zones.
In his remarks, the head of the engineering team handling the project in Kano State sheds light on the execution processes.
The project is in 3 segments. On this 3 section, on this section 3, we have 17.32 kilometers, which we are in now presently. We have asphalt overlay of Kano to Kano Airport, which is 6.6 kilometers. That one has been completed, lane marking has been done, street light has been installed. This 17.3 kilometers, the work is ongoing, as you can see.
Residents of communities hosting the project expressed satisfaction with the interventions.
Important project. This road links Kano with many neighboring states. And definitely, without iota of doubt, this project, when completed, will boost economic status of Kano State, not only Kano State, even the neighboring state.
The delegation is hoping that the developments will enhance economic activities and create job opportunities for people across the state and the northwestern region. Abubakar Salihu, Channels Television News.
Governor Uba Sani of Kaduna State has flagged off the construction of what is expected to be the largest interstate bus terminal in Nigeria. The ultra-modern transport facility located along the Eastern Bypass, Millennium City in Chukun local government area is designed to transform intra- and interstate mobility, boost economic activities, and enhance security across Kaduna State.
The ultra-modern bus terminal, which sits on 20 hectares of land along the Eastern Bypass in the outskirts of Kaduna metropolis, is designed to operate as a dual terminal with a capacity to accommodate over 5,000 buses. The idea of the bus terminal was conceived by the Governor Uba Sani's administration due to the status of Kaduna as the gateway between the north and southern part of the country, as well as the Federal Capital Territory.
In the last 13 months of His Excellency Senator Malam Uba Sani's administration, he has turned Kaduna State into northern fastest moving transportation reform laboratory, shifting from a state that investors bypass us to one that now guarantees 24-hour multimodal low-carbon mobility. His commitment to modernizing transportation and enhancing connectivity has led to numerous projects and various sector initiatives designed to meet needs of our citizens and promote economic growth.
The bus terminal also forms part of a broader transport reform by the Sani administration, which includes the deployment of 100 CNG buses, already used free of charge by over 1.4 million citizens, saving commuters nearly 1.5 billion naira in transport costs.
Your Excellency, it is during your time that the BRT was introduced in Kaduna State. After Lagos State, Your Excellency, you are the second in this country. And we are happy. Your Excellency, very recently in Kaduna State, formerly, workers are hanging around trying to move from one point to another with difficulty. But today, everybody will say, and we are saying it too, that workers, people of Kaduna State, they are now enjoying that mass transit that you have introduced.
Labor unions in the state are confident that this project will serve as a major economic catalyst, creating thousands of direct and indirect jobs while decongesting Kaduna City of heavy traffic.
This terminal will be by 70% used by our members from NRA2W, NATO, Return, and other unions that are in the informal sector of the NLC. Your Excellency, I want to put it on record that now the civil servants in Kaduna State are saving 30 to 40% of our salaries in our monthly contribution. You know, in civil servants used to do monthly contribution. Before we are only sparing 10% of our salary. But because we are taking away now the transport allowance we're paying on a daily basis, we have now improved our monthly contribution to over 40% of our salary.
With national recognition already earned for its transport reforms, the Kaduna State Bus Terminal project underscores Governor Uba Sani's commitment to sustainable urban mobility and long-term development.
This project reflects a deliberate policy choice to invest in modern, well-planned transport facilities that support economic activity, enhance safety, and meet the growing needs of our state. This terminal is conceived as a statement of modern governance, orderly, inclusive, efficient, and forward-looking. It affirms our conviction that infrastructure must not only serve present needs, but also anticipate future demands.
The governor then performs the groundbreaking for the commencement of the construction of this bus terminal, signaling a new era in modern transportation in Kaduna State. The state government believes that the construction of a modern bus terminal builds on tangible progress already delivered by the present administration in the transport sector of Kaduna, including the deployment of free CNG buses for students, civil servants, pensioners, and other vulnerable groups across Kaduna State since mid-2025.
The Katsina State government has acknowledged the courage, determination, patriotism, and resilience of troops of the Nigerian Air Force 213 Forward Operating Base in ridding the state of terrorists, armed bandits, and other criminal elements. The secretary to the state's government, Abdullahi Garba Faskari, made this acknowledgement during the 2025 Base Annual Socio-Cultural Activities, BASA, held at the sports complex of the NAF 213 Operating Base Katsina. He attests that Katsina and other parts of the country are enjoying relative peace at the moment, stressing that the troops' threats to kidnapping, banditry, castle rustling, and other forms of criminalities remain a major obstacle to economic growth, peace, and security of the state.
The Bay's annual sociocultural activities, otherwise known as BASA, holds at the sports complex of the Nigerian Air Force in Katsina State. It marks the conclusion of a successful operational year for the 213 Forward Operating Base of the Nigerian Air Force, promoting unity among personnel, their families, and showcasing the rich cultural heritage of the host communities to strengthen relationships. The commander, 213 Forward Operating Base of the Nigerian Air Force, Katsina Air Commodore Chukwedoilo, gives assurances that the 213 Forward Operating Base remains dedicated to consolidating the gains already achieved and maintaining a swift response to security challenges within the state.
This ceremony is not currently being commemorated as a symbolic gathering for the exchange of mere formalities and in continuance of a ritual. Rather, it transcends beyond a cultural tradition that has been handed down to us, and it serves us a stronger and better purpose. I would like to humbly remind us that every activity has been carefully selected and organized to appreciate our personnel and their families who have not withheld their best efforts in the past year. It is hoped that this event will go a long way in strengthening the existing bonds among the diverse ethnic groups in the base. Also, it helps us to connect with our host communities so that we get the best engagement with them.
Impressed with the pivotal role of the troops in fighting insecurity in the country, the Katsina State government highlights with great appreciation the fact that the operations have so far been executed with careful considerations for strong professional ethics.
I must acknowledge your courage, determination, patriotism, and resilience with which you have been able to make a remarkable progress to rid the country of terrorists, armed bandits, and other criminal elements. We must not lose sight for the fact that the threat to security in terms of kidnapping, banditry, cattle rustling, and other forms of criminalities remains potent and could pose a major obstacle to economic growth, peace, and security of the state. The state looks up to the Air Force to continue to deliver on its objective whenever the need arises.
Various forms of entertainment include cultural dance by Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo cultural troops, display by hunters and horse riders, inspecting of dishes, as well as lighting of the campfire. There was also a tug-of-war between personnel of the Operation Fansen Yama Sector 2 against the personnel of the 213 Operating Base Katsina, and between the barracks women and NYSC Corps members.
You're watching Newsroom series live on Channels Television. Still ahead, we'll bring you more stories from the Northwestern region. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, has charged troops of the 1 Brigade Sector 2 Joint Task Force Northwest Operation Fasanyama to uphold human rights and maintain the highest standards of professional conduct in the discharge of their duties. The Army Chief, who was represented by the Chief of Civil Military Affairs, Major General Musa Itsu Ndangi, gave the charge while declaring open a sensitization workshop on human rights and professional conduct organized for the troops of the Command Officers Mess in Gusau, the Zamfara State capital.
The Nigerian Army Chief of Civil Military Affairs, Major General Musa Itsu Ndangi, is in Gusau, the Zamfara State capital, where he's representing the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, at a sensitization workshop on human rights and professional conduct. He inspects a quarter guard mounted in his honor before proceeding to the venue of the event. In his welcome address, the commander of 1 Brigade, Nigerian Army, Gusau, Brigadier General Mustapha Jimo, commends troops under his command for continuously demonstrating commendable compliance with operational directives and professional standards.
I am pleased to note that troops of 1 Brigade Nigerian Army have continued to demonstrate a commendable level of compliance with excellent operational directives and professional standards. This has largely been achieved through sustained in-theater training, initiative, continuous sensitization, and the periodic review of brigade standing orders and standard operational procedures to align with evolving operational realities under Operation Fasanyama.
Delivering the keynote address, Chief of Civil Military Affairs, Major General Musa Itsu Ndangi, describes respect for human rights as a core value of the Nigerian Army, stressing that professionalism and discipline remain central to military operations, especially in internal security engagements.
This is in recognition of the fact that respect for human rights is not merely a legal obligation, but also a strategic imperative that enhances our credibility and legitimacy in the eyes of the citizenry. It is, however, important to caution that adhering to the law and human rights principles should not in any way make you docile in the conduct of operations.
Major General Itsu Ndangi issues a stern warning to officers and soldiers against arms trafficking and the unauthorized sale of arms and ammunition, stressing that any personnel found culpable will face severe disciplinary action in line with military laws. He also reaffirms the Army's zero-tolerance stance on misconduct, noting that professionalism, accountability and respect for human rights remain non-negotiable in the Nigerian Army's efforts to restore peace and security in the Northwest region.
The Nigerian Medical Association has dismissed claims by the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress that doctors benefited from an upgrade of the consolidated medical salary structure, describing the allegation as misleading and capable of fueling industrial tension in the health sector. The National Publicity Secretary, Dr. Manuel Bature, made this known while addressing newsmen in Gusau, the Zamfara State capital, in response to the ultimatum issued by the NLC and TUC over the ongoing nationwide industrial action by the joint health sector unions. According to the NMA, there was no upgrade of comments in 2014 as being alleged by organized labor, but rather a correction of long-standing distortions in the implementation of the salary structure in line with existing approvals and public service guidelines. The NMA warned that portraying the correction as special treatment for doctors is inaccurate and risks creating unnecessary interprofessional conflict.
The NMA is particularly concerned about the adversarial tone and issuance of public ultimatums on a matter that requires careful verification, technical understanding, and institutional engagement. We urge the TUC and the NLC to exercise caution, restraint, and responsibility in the public communication, especially on sensitive salary structure issues, so as not to misinform workers or the general public. Furthermore, the NMA calls on the federal government of Nigeria to remain focused on the ongoing collective bargaining agreement CBA process as the appropriate, lawful, and structured platform for addressing remuneration, welfare, and industrial concern within the health sector. What the health sector requires is comprehensive engagement, good faith negotiation, respect for existing agreements, and adherence to clearly defined professional roles and responsibilities. The Nigerian Medical Association remains committed to constructive dialogue, transparency, and interprofessional harmony, and will continue to engage responsibly with government and the labor institutions in the overall interest of the healthcare workers and the Nigerian people.
Now, the traditional ruler of Ogwandu in Kebbi State, Alhaji Abdullahi Umar, is appealing to privileged Nigerians to support and empower the less privileged members of the communities as a way of cushioning the effects of economic hardship. Alhaji Umar made the call while flagging off an empowerment program for women and youths in Birnin Kebbi, organized in support of Governor Nasir Idris. According to the traditional ruler, many individuals have benefited from various government initiatives, and extending similar support at the community level will go a long way in improving livelihoods and promoting self-reliance. About 500 women and youths benefited from the program. Addressing the beneficiaries, the Waziri charged them to take this as an opportunity to become self-reliant and economically productive. The program is aimed at alleviating poverty amongst women and youths in line with the state's government's poverty reduction policy.
Government is assisting them with contracts, not for themselves alone and their family. No, the government is for the people. And at least if they emulate what the governor is doing, you know that is for everybody. So I want them to please come out. The same manner that I'm being assisted, also come out to assist the people.
What we are trying to achieve is to see that our communities, our people, especially women and girls, are empowered and they stay on their own, so that they will not rely on anybody to support them, to give them all those little financial support, so that they will not be that vulnerable.
Now, leaders from across northern Nigeria have called for urgent action on education, security, and regional collaboration as they gathered in Dutse, Jigawa State for a memorial lecture in honor of Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Saldana of Sokoto. The event, held at the Ahmadu Bello Hall, brought together former and serving government officials, traditional rulers, and policymakers to reflect on the legacy of the late northern leader and the challenges facing the region. Our correspondent Sadiq Eliasu reports.
Prominent northern leaders and stakeholders converged on the Ahmadu Bello Hall in Dutse for a memorial lecture honoring the life and leadership of Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sultana of Sokoto. Delivering his remarks, former Niger State Governor Babangida Aliyu lamented the high number of out-of-school children in northern Nigeria, describing the situation as alarming.
When they talk of millions of out-of-school children, 80% of that figure, whatever the figure, because sometimes UN will give you one, sometimes the one will say it here, whatever the figure, 80% are from the northern states. Very shameful. Because even those who are already in school, we have a problem there. I don't know about now, but when I was chairman Northern Governors Forum, I did a study, and at that time, no northern state had up to 50% qualified teachers.
Presenting a paper at the event, former Minister of Education, Professor Rukaya Ahmad, attributed the growing number of out-of-school children to social and economic pressures affecting families across the region.
Northern Nigeria holds the
Speaking on security, the Emir of Dutse, Hamim Sanusi, stressed that no meaningful development can take place in the north without first addressing the challenge of insecurity.
All the efforts done by the government will go in vain. So we have to accept and sit down, discuss how we can tackle insecurity in Nigeria, which is really divided us. And without unity in northern Nigeria, we cannot achieve anything.
In his address, Jigawa State Governor Umar Namadi called on regional organizations to strengthen collaboration in order to develop strategies to tackle insecurity, out-of-school children, and other socio-economic challenges.
Nevertheless, as earlier noted, the region continued to confront numerous development challenges, with the millions enduring deteriorating living standard and living in constant fear for their life, safety, and livelihood. It is truly heartwarming to witness an unprecedented level of collective commitment in tackling our regional challenges head-on. While the Northern State Government Forum is re-strategizing and repositioning itself for the future, individually, the 19 state governors are diligently fulfilling their respective constitutional mandate to ensure the security and welfare of our citizens.
The Vice President Kashim Shatima, represented by the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Ibrahim Hassan, commended the Jigawa State government for its commitment to the education sector.
Jigawa State is one of only 4 states in Nigeria that have exceeded the recommended 26% budgetary allocation to education. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a step in the right direction, and I hope that the Saturday Memorial Foundation would arrange some kind of peer review mechanism between the states so that we can encourage other states, especially of northern extraction, to also begin to dedicate substantial amounts to address what for me is a very, very serious pointer to what confronts us in the future.
The lecture ended with a call for collective responsibility and renewed commitment to the ideals of unity, education, and good governance championed by the Sultana of Sokoto. Sadiq Ilyasu, Channels Television News.
And that's where we drop the anchor on this edition of Newsroom Series. I'm Dominic Iwiwu. Enjoy the rest of your day.